It's poll season, baby. Y'all know that we about to get all these crazy polls from all these folks. People that we respect. People that we question. You know, all of that. So, let's take a look at it. I want to talk about Joel Klatt's top 25 that he dropped on yesterday, which was Monday. And the coaches poll dropped their top 25. So we get to see where the coaches think everybody's ranked. And, of course, listening to Klatt explain his logic. Same thing with ESPN dropping its top 25 hardest college football schedules. Y'all know what the theme is. So let's dive into it. Before we do that, welcome to Unfair Sports. I'm your host, Jay. Thank y'all for pulling up to the channel. Do me a favor. Hop in the comments. Let me know, where do you think Oklahoma should be ranked in the top 25? What is your ideal spot initially before the season starts? Now, if you followed me for a while, you know exactly how I feel about this. But for the uninitiated, as we've seen a large amount of growth since this time last year, thank you all for that. For the uninitiated, I hate all polls before week 4. I say that as a disclaimer because the reasoning is we don't know who these teams are, right? There's certain teams that be hyped up, others that ain't hyped. And then you see a flip-flop. And then some teams are who they are, and they start to settle and balance themselves out. Usually by week 4, you get an idea of what things are going to be. Week 8 is when things really take its turn, which is the second third of the season. And then when you get to week, 12, 13, 14, whichever one it feels to be, that's when you're like, all right, season's over, right? But that first 4 weeks is really, really critical because that's when a lot of the big games are going to happen, right? You'll have Georgia versus Clemson, right? And you'll have USC versus LSU, Oklahoma versus Temple, right? But you'll have that. But what's interesting is how many teams have landed in the top 25 for the coaches poll, as well as Klatt, that actually are from the SEC. I mean, there's a lot of SEC bias because, in a way, honestly, the SEC seems to win, a lot more games. So, let's jump into that. Let's take a look at these and dive into what these polls really mean. All right, as you can see here, we got the coaches poll first. We'll talk about this one and work our way into the hardest schedule. So stick around. Later in the video, you'll see that, but we shouldn't be here for too long, right? We're here for a good time, not a long time. Coaches got to set up one, of course, Georgia, Ohio State. You've got the traditional teams on here. You got Oregon, Texas, Alabama, Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Michigan, Penn State, Florida State, then Missouri, LSU, Utah, Clemson, Tennessee, then Oklahoma, K-State, Oklahoma State, Miami, A&M, Arizona, North Carolina State, USC, Kansas, and Iowa. Now, this is what's interesting to me on this one. First off, Oklahoma's ranking at 16. Totally here for it. I was predicting between 13 and 18, right? That's probably the safest area for Oklahoma. 16 is a pretty good spot. Right ahead of Kansas State. We'll play Tennessee, so we'll be fine. Kansas getting love and Oklahoma State's kind of interesting. Would not have expected Kansas to actually get any type of love like this. And NC State, right? They're up there. And they've got an interesting game coming up this season. We'll talk about that another time. But Oklahoma 16 makes sense. And so now Oklahoma's going to have to play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams. 6 teams ranked ahead of them sometime this season. And so, we talked about it. Me and Coop talked about it on the last live show. If y'all didn't check it out, feel free to search for it on the channel under the lives. But talked about how the biggest thing for Oklahoma is hoping that all these teams ahead of them live up to their expectations, right? Because if they do, then yeah, guess what? Oklahoma gets to face them. If they don't, then we're in a situation where it's kind of like, darn, doesn't help Oklahoma, right? So they're going to need to have everybody doing well to win. Mainly Alabama, LSU at the end of the season is going to be awesome, but I expect Ole Miss, Missouri, as well as Tennessee to all be ranked when we face them. At least that's what I hope. But things can change. We've seen crazier stuff. But the one that intrigued me the most was Joel Klatts. Let's look at Klatts real quick. So our guy Joe Klatt dropped his top 25, and shockingly, he moved Oklahoma higher than I anticipated. But he's got USC up there at 14, which is very intriguing. Missouri's up there pretty high. He has Ole Miss as a top 5 team and Bama not in the top 5. Definitely has Texas as top 3. Questionable, but it is what it is. Kansas is ranked. He even added A&M to the mix with Nebraska, which I get the Nebraska love. No North Carolina State love in here, but he thinks A&M has a chance. And, of course, the age-old reason as to why he says Oklahoma should be 15. And, he has them in the top 15, but why they're going to be there. Y'all know, right? Should I tell y'all? I'm going to tell y'all. Y'all know why. It's because of their schedule. Oklahoma's schedule is so tough. Grueling. They face 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams. 6 teams that are in the top 25. Whoa, grueling, brutal, tough schedule. Again, my point, and what I've said about this, ain't that these teams ain't going to be tough, or these games ain't going to be tough. It's the SEC. They're supposed to show up and be tough. That's the brand. It's more so that we're facing like a bunch of teams that we're hoping live up to their billing, right? Tennessee, like I said, should be fine. By the time we get to them, it should be good. Ole Miss, I have no concerns about. Don't have very many concerns about Texas doing it, but they got Michigan. So you got 3 and 7 playing each other, which is going to be a big one. So yeah, as long as these teams live up to their expectation, they face Oklahoma, and then Oklahoma has a chance to either win or lose in that game, it's going to help the cause for Oklahoma, right? We talked about if there was as I pull this up now, we have the hardest schedules. Oklahoma's ranked number 7th, right? They're behind. This ESPN put this out. They have 8 SEC teams in the top 8. 9 of the top 10 are SEC teams. And in the top 25, you got 14. With Florida's being tough, because I get why Florida's is considered tough. I mean, they've got Miami and Florida State. And both teams, based upon the blue chip ratio, better be good. Coaches should get, questionably, ridiculed if they're not. But Mississippi State, sucky thing about being a really bad team is that the really good teams benefit from you being really bad. So you got to play them. Luckily, they don't see Alabama, but still. Then, of course, Georgia, Kentucky. Auburn has a tougher schedule considered than Oklahoma. And it must be something to do with non-conference. I don't know. But Oklahoma has this tough schedule, and it's funny because every week it gets moved back further on how tough our schedule actually is. So I honestly do not know if our schedule really is a top 10 schedule in the country, or if it's the hardest, if it's not the hardest. I mean, everybody believes we have the hardest one in the SEC, but it appears that 6 other teams have that over us. I don't know. It's all, of course, speculation, whatever everybody else believes, but I'm going to tell you how it is. We're ready for the challenge. And so we're having this conversation because it's time to get your minds together. We're roughly going into 2 weeks away from season play, right? I know y'all, like me, but 3 weeks away, y'all as excited as I am, right? We get to look up and boom, we got, games. Like how y'all gonna handle that? I'm being like 100% serious. This isn't a facetious question. How y'all gonna handle it? Because I'm kind of struggling right now. Like I'm fiending for football. Like I'm doing all of this every other day. Like, I'm letting the beard grow even more because I got to have it. I need it in my thing. I need the football right in the eyeballs. So hopefully we're gonna get that soon. But we got 3 weeks away. August 30th, Temple come to the crib. So let me know what y'all think. Hop in the comments. Let your boy know your thoughts. What y'all think about this toughest schedule piece, Klatts? Do you think that the 12 to 18 range is fair? 'Cause, I mean, roughly everybody's keeping us in the 14, 15, 16 range. How y'all feel about that? If you made this far, like the content, go ahead and hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We'd love for y'all to join this family of Sooner fans, talking all you football, college football in general, and having a blast doing it. All right, we're going to continue our series on the rooms. First one's coming up tomorrow, and then, we'll have a few more down the line. We're going to go through every single room, and then we're also going to preview every single game. Top numbers. Y'all know me. I love analytics. And then we'll give you a depth chart prediction right before the week of the season when we know we'll get the depth chart prediction. So we'll get that done. We'll talk soon. Peace.